Hello guys, let me go and get this camera set up real quick and we'll get started. Let's see here. TV guide notification. TV guide. Gilligan. You are now live. Okay, I think we're good. Let's see here. Alright. Well, good evening guys, or good whatever time of day it is where you are. 1 second, I'm still trying to set this up here. Okay. Space. Crap. 1 minute, guys. Page 2 of 2. There we go. All right, now I think we're set up. All right, so yeah, again, good evening, whatever time of day it is where you are. Welcome to my Periscope stream. Hey. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. So yeah, welcome to my Periscope stream. Hey. I'm going to keep checking my little comments down there. So yeah, my name is Misty Dawn. I am in fact visually impaired significantly. I do have some vision, but it's very limited. You can probably tell by the glasses that I have a little bit of vision. And glasses do help a little bit, but my vision is still quite limited. I come on here every Thursday at this time, and I answer your questions about blindness or vision impairment. And it's basically an open forum. You know, you can pretty well ask anything blindness or vision impairment related, and I will do my best to answer those questions. All you need to do is put your questions down in the comments. I have speech software on my phone that can read those questions aloud to me, and so I will know when you ask a question, and I'll know what that question is just by using my speech synthesizer on my phone. I'm using a standard iPhone with accessibility enabled, so in case you're curious about that. So yeah, welcome to everyone who's joining. And so I'm just gonna open it up right now. Does anyone have any questions they've wanted to ask about blindness or vision impairment? Just put them in the comments down there. And again, I'll try to do my best to answer them. You may notice my eyes are kind of looking down to my left. Jesse, listening in. Hi, Jesse. Welcome. It's just my Westminster chimes on my clock going off. Yeah, I'm looking down into my left because I do have a very narrow visual field, and so if I'm looking right at my camera or at the center of my screen at myself, I may not always see the questions at the bottom. Jesse, listening in. I think that's the same comment. All right. So that's how I can look at the comments. Now, my speech software will read the comments aloud, but it doesn't do that automatically with Periscope, and so I do have some vision, as I say, so I can see when a comment comes in if I'm looking down in that direction. But I have to put my finger on that comment in order for my speech software to read it aloud. So, and with that in mind, if I do miss any of your questions, put them in the comment section there again below, a second time, and I will hopefully see them at that point. If I don't see them this week, I will replay this later, and I'll be in a better position to be able to see when comments come in when I replay it. And so if I don't get to your question this week, I'll get to it next week if I do miss it. And if you submit it again, I still miss it. So, again, any questions about blindness or vision impairment? Last week we didn't have any questions. So I'm hoping we get more this week. If I persistently get no questions, I'm probably not going to be doing this anymore. And, I'm hoping to continue it. But, this is all about you guys, as I said on Twitter earlier. Jesse, how can a blind person use Periscope? Yeah, okay, that's a good question, Jesse. Basically, how shall I explain it? We use a speech software, as I mentioned earlier, on our phone. Our phones, depending on what type of phone we have. I just have a standard iPhone. And with the iPhone, anyway, there's an accessibility section that everyone has on their iPhone. So if you go to Settings, General, Accessibility, you can enable a piece of software on the iPhone that's built in, again, to every iPhone, that reads what's on your screen. So it reads it aloud. Basically, it converts text to audible speech, right? Even many-sighted people may be somewhat familiar with that on computers, but we basically have a similar situation with the iPhone and with other phones as well. But what's nice about the iPhone is that the speech is already built in. We don't have to buy a separate program that costs buku bucks, and then put it onto our phones. And so that's how I use that speech software to read what's on the screen for me in all kinds of apps, including Periscope. As I said earlier, Periscope doesn't automatically read comments when they come in, so I do have to have some sight to see when they do come in at the bottom of the screen. But I do, when I see one come in, I'll put my finger on top of it, and then I'll read the text under my finger, because I can see when the comments come in, but I can't see text. So this might be a little difficult for a totally blind person to use, at least in terms of reading comments, because again, it doesn't automatically tell you when they come in. Now, I'm not sure exactly how to fix that or how to improve that accessibility-wise, and from what I understand, unfortunately, people on Periscope, or the developers, are not very responsive, if at all, to the needs of blind people. So, yeah, I don't know how that could be fixed or helped, but, so yeah, that's basically how I use an iPhone and how I use various apps. Some apps work better with this built-in speech software than others. It just depends. Some of them don't work at all with that. Actually, quite a few of them don't work at all with that. So, and that's when we say that that app isn't accessible with VoiceOver, right? So, if you have any follow-ups to that, Jesse, go and put them on there. If anyone else has any follow-ups, feel free to put them down there in the comments section. Or if anyone else has any other questions related to blindness, feel free to put them down there, and I will read them with my speech software. Again, feel free to heart this, to like it, to share it on any social media platform you're involved in, blogs, Periscope, I guess, Twitter, Facebook. Feel free to share this with other Periscope viewers now, or share the replays on your social media. We need to get the word out. We need to keep this going. So, any other questions about blindness or vision impairment? I'll go and open it up again. I'm going to put it on the lower left, put them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. Excuse me. So, any other questions about blindness, vision impairment before I jump into my, what I call my filler topic for the week? And certainly blind people who watch this, by the way, feel free to promote this on your social media platforms, wherever you have them. Again, we need to, even, if blind people join, as some people have, you can ask a question that you may think a sighted person has, because maybe sighted people are watching this and are afraid to say anything, which is actually very common. A lot of sighted people are afraid to approach blind people and ask them about their visual impairment, let alone anything else, They're just scared of us for whatever reason. So, if you're blind, to go and jump in here and ask a question you think maybe sighted people might have. But again, I encourage sighted people primarily to ask the questions, because, again, we're blind. We're not going to bite. I'm definitely not shy about my vision impairment, and I'm willing to take any questions on it. So, but I don't want to feel like I'm, a public radio broadcaster trying to do a pledge drive, right? I want to make sure we continue to get questions. I don't want to be begging for questions every week, right? So.
Are you completely blind?
Oh, Evo Volt. Yes. Hi. I recognize you from Twitter. Welcome. Yeah, not really, no. I think if you were on here earlier, I don't know if you just joined or not, but if you were on here earlier, I mentioned that I do have enough vision to see when comments come in. I can't read the text, but I can see when comments come in, and I use my speech software to read the comments. I do have some vision. You probably could tell the glasses here, and those help a little bit. They help to clarify things and to magnify things a little more. And actually, that kind of segues into my filler topic for the week. And by the way, other folks, or Evo, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Feel free to ask any other questions that may come up during what I'm about to say, and I will stop and get to those as well. But this does lead into what I had for a filler topic this week, and that actually is about my particular vision impairment, and sort of discussing it and describing it and talking about the different levels of blindness that are out there among the blind community. First of all, let me kind of get into a little bit of generality here, in saying that many people who are identified or even self-identify as blind do have some vision, myself included. but our vision is severely, severely limited. There are many, obviously, people who identify as blind who are totally blind, but there are, like I said, others who have some vision. And so I'm one of the latter. I do have a condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis. At least that's the primary condition that I have. There are some accompanying conditions: optic atrophy, Ehlers disease, and color deficiency. But so basically, I don't want to get into all the technical things, at least not right now, but I do want to kind of give you an idea of how that works out for me practically. And by the way, as I say, feel free to throw questions out about what I'm saying or anything else as I'm talking about this, because, this topic is just a filler topic, and my main focus is on questions, so feel free to throw them out there if you have any more. I do read large print, about 4 times magnification, if you can imagine that. And I also read, it's easiest for me to read white text on a dark background. So usually white text, black background is best for me. So most of the time when I'm reading, it's going to be on a computer screen or on a video magnifier where you can change the contrast to sort of a reverse image where you can get white text, black background. If I'm reading a standard document on paper, I can change my video magnifier so that the contrast is as I prefer it. White text, black background, as I say. Excuse me. I do know Braille. I have learned Braille, although I learned it later in life because I thought I was going to lose some more vision because I had an incident with some blood vessels growing in the back of my eye that I thought was going to take more of my vision. So I did learn Braille, and it's always nice to have it if I don't have the type of print that I need. And Braille is there, I can just use Braille. So I do know that, although I'm certainly not as quick at reading in Braille, just because, I mainly read large print.
What you say is very interesting. I myself wear contacts, but my actual vision is -18.
Ah, okay. Excellent. I don't know how well you can hear it, but you probably just heard Eva and others. You probably just heard, please tell me if I'm saying your name right, by the way. You just probably heard that I put my finger on the comment and it read the comment aloud. I don't know how well you could hear it on your side of things, but it did read it aloud. That's awesome. So where was I going with that? I'm sorry. I'm terrible at going off on tangents. Even in the classroom, I have to watch that. Do read Braille, but mainly print. I also use speech software, like on my phone, where reading large print is just not convenient enough. It's just a very small screen, and so having really blown up print like that, 4 times magnification, or more in this case, on a small screen, is just not practical. It just takes a really long time. And so I use speech on my iPhone, but I use large print on my laptop computer because the screen is larger, and it's just easier to do it on a larger screen, for me anyway, because I need it so much enlarged so much. There's Latin grammar interfering with my English grammar. You're probably somewhat familiar with that. What else? I do use speech also when I'm reading longer documents because, like I said, while I can read large print, very large print, my reading speed is very slow because my visual field, as I mentioned earlier, is very limited. And so I can only see maybe 1 or 2 characters at a time on one line of text. And so it makes reading a little slower, actually much slower for me than it does someone with normal vision and with a normal size of visual field, right? And so I do use speech for longer documents just to make reading quicker, at least if they're in English or in a language that speech synthesizers support. Unfortunately, as far as I know, most if not all speech synthesizers for blind people have no support for either ancient Greek or Latin. And some of you who follow me on Twitter or who have followed me on here before remember that I am a classicist by training, and so reading Latin and Greek I have to do visually. Now, there is apparently a Latin and Greek Braille system, but, with the Braille, I am actually slower reading Braille than I am even large print. And so, when I read Greek and Latin, I read the large print. One thing about it, though, for any classicists who are following me right now, I know, Evo, if you're still following, you might be interested in this. I know that a lot of classicists with normal vision complain about the diacritics on the Polytonic Greek. But for me, since I am reading...
Greetings to fellow classicist.
I hope there are others following me. I haven't actually looked at the list at the moment. But, yes, indeed. But yeah, for polytonic Greek, since since I'm using magnification, I usually don't have to deal with having to strain to see the diacritical marks on top of the letters, right? So that's one advantage, I guess, if you can call it that, of using extreme magnification. Right. It would be nice if Apple or other programming companies would make synthesizers that would be able to read in Latin or Greek, ancient Greek. That would be awesome. I do have one that my speech synthesizer on my iPhone does read modern Greek and Italian, and so for Latin, if I'm wanting to read something on my iPhone, I do sometimes use the Italian voice, the Italian phonetic, voice on here, which it's decent, but there are still a lot of issues. So, I would even settle for ecclesiastical or scholastic pronunciation, right? Let's just try to get a synthesizer that reads Latin. That would be great. I don't know how many other blind classicists there are in the world. I'm sure there are others. I know at least there are a few others, but, that would be kind of nice, to have a synthesizer that would read Latin and Greek. But anyway, I'm getting off on a major specialized tangent here, so mainly because I know Evo is watching this, but potentially other classicists. But so what else? I do use a white cane because, again, I have a very very narrow visual field, and usually when I'm looking straight ahead, I can't always see what's down below me, or to the side, or above me. So I'd use a white cane for that reason, and sometimes because of my optic atrophy, which is basically where my optic nerve is shorter and smaller than it should be. Even if my eyes physically see something in front of me, my brain doesn't always register it, if that makes sense. So even if I'm physically seeing something, I may still run smack into it. So that's also where a cane is nice, and then where it's necessary. I don't use the cane where I'm very familiar with an environment, like in my own home. I know where things are located, and so I don't use a cane there. Only if I know other people are in the house with me, for instance, and I know they're going to be moving things around a lot, then I may use a cane in the house. But in environments where I know things haven't changed, or I can be 95 or more % sure that things haven't changed, then I won't use the cane, but otherwise I'm going to use a cane. Of course, there are some blind folks who use guide dogs. Let me check this.
So contacts are not suitable for your condition?
Well, I don't think so. Okay, put it this way. I've tried contacts. I've tried putting them in my eyes before, and they just drive me up one wall and down another. So I don't think I'd be able to stand just the feel of them to begin with. Maybe I'm just exceptionally sensitive, or maybe it has to do with my condition as well. I don't know, but I just cannot stand contacts. And as far as I know, contacts probably would not be helpful. They wouldn't be strong enough. Again, I don't know that for a fact, but I've never really had a problem with glasses. So I'll probably just stick with those. So yeah, that's actually a good question. Again, if there are any other questions, Evo, or if anyone else has them, feel free to throw them in the comment section down here. And again, feel free to, as I say, to share, to like, to heart this, to follow me if you don't already. I do this every week, 5:30 p.m. Thursdays. Well, I guess every week would be Thursdays. Although I'm thinking of moving it to 6, just because I tend to cut it really close with other things I'm doing before 5:30.
I have had contacts for 20 years. Ellipsis.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Yeah, some members of my family have them as well. And it irritates my father actually has them, and it irritates his eyes pretty badly, but, no, like I said, I don't think that they would be strong enough for me. These are pretty well the strongest, or at least nearly the strongest prescription glasses that you can get, the ones that I have here. Although they probably don't look like it. I do wear what's called a high index lens, and so even though the lenses are very strong, practically, they're actually very, they're smaller than they would otherwise be if they were just like a normal lens. So they can actually be kind of deceiving to people because, they think I can see a lot more than I can, because the glasses are relatively thin, right? But yet they look at the cane a lot of times that I have with me and they're like, wow, can she see or can't she? So I can understand where there'd be some confusion. And like I said, it's really somewhere in the middle, right? I have some vision, but it's actually very limited, and I'm more blind than not, put it that way. So, right. So yeah, like I said, the cane is helpful. Some people have guide dogs, as you know. It really depends on personal preference and personal need. Some people like them for protection. I just don't want to have to take the time to care for a guide dog, and I have a decent amount of vision left, remaining, whatever you want to call it. Though I was born with with these conditions. They're congenital, they're genetic. But yeah, I prefer using a cane myself. White cane, red tip, white cane. You've probably seen them. White tip and red that's generally the universal sign for blindness, right? So if you see someone with a white cane and a red tip, that means that they are blind. Very, very, very most likely. Now, there is at least one cane manufacturer that offers canes in other colors. I mean, just wild colors. But, I myself am not a big fan of that, because a lot of people may think that if I have a cane with another color, they may think that I have a walking disability, which, isn't bad, but that may cause them to be misinformed about what is my real situation. So I'm not a big fan of canes of other colors. I prefer that people would just stick with the red and white, because people know it so well, and know that as signifying vision, or at least I believe that most people understand that. Right. So, let me go and take another break here real quick and ask for any other questions on blindness or vision impairment. For those people who have just joined, you can put them in the comment section. My speech software on my phone will read them aloud.
Has your vision deteriorated during your life?
Yeah, good question. Yes, to some extent. Now, it hasn't been a very, sudden process or anything, so it's something that I've gotten used to very easily. But yeah, it has degenerated. My condition is degenerative. Although some people who have the condition that I have, their vision remains more stable than vision does for other people. Okay, so it just varies from person to person, for the folks that have the condition that I do. But for me, it's been very gradual, thankfully. It hasn't been any major adjustment to readjust to diminishing vision. Although when I do look back over the years, as I say, I know it has deteriorated. For instance, probably back in the as late as 8th grade, maybe 7th, I was able to read, your standard large print books that they give kids with vision impairments in school, about double-sized books, with the kind of off-white background and then black text, and about 2 or 3 times maybe magnification. Yeah. So I was able to read that. And since then, again, as I say, I've had to have about 4 times magnification and white text on black background in order to read it comfortably. So, yeah, it has degenerated, but again, with my condition, that's to be expected. And as I say, knowing Braille if it does get to that point, is going to be of immense help to me. And so, like I said, it's not something that I really concern myself about, because, with the amount of vision that I have today, it's still pretty limited. And so, not only in terms of the acuity numbers, like 20, 200, 2400, whatever, but also other complications, like I said, with the eye-brain situation, and with my limited visual field, and also with Leber's, your vision is a lot dimmer than most people's. And so, it's not just the acuity numbers. So for all intents and purposes, and, because I don't rely as much on my vision already as someone maybe with more vision would, I can walk into a room with lights off and still be able to get around, and so it's like, as I do continue to lose vision, it's not going to be a big issue for me. It's something that I think I could get used to pretty quickly, even say if, heaven forbid, if it was just all of a sudden, right? I could definitely adapt to it pretty easily. At least I think I could. So yeah, it is, I can't even talk tonight, excuse me, goodness, whew. I'm a Latinist too, goodness. It is degenerative. My brain's getting ahead of my mouth there. But it's not something I can't get used to. So, very good questions, by the way. I appreciate all your questions tonight. As I say, Evo, any more questions, feel free to put them there. If anyone else has them, again, feel free to put them in the comments. My speech software will read them. By the way, folks, while I'm at it and talking about questions and all that good stuff, and I have a break in my filler topic this week, for those who don't already know, I do archive. There's the word. I haven't even had my evening glass of wine yet. I do archive these Periscope sessions on my YouTube channel, which is at the same username as I am here. So just search for Aurora Nebulosa, or Aurora Nebulosa, if you want to anglicize it, on YouTube, and you'll find my channel. If you look for the playlist Questions About Blindness, the Periscope sessions, you'll be able to see the sessions that I've archived. And now I have gotten a little bit lazy about archiving the last few sessions or so, and I need to do that. I need to upload them. But you'll see about a month and a half, I think, worth of my previous sessions. So go and check that out. Also, if this kind of lecture format is not really your cup of tea, if you're into more visually stimulating, talks, if you will, or, sessions or vodcast, podcast, whatever you call them. I also do another sort of more visually oriented video podcast. And again, that is also on my YouTube channel under a playlist. If you want to check that out, that video podcast is called Through My Eyes. So just go to my YouTube channel and look for the playlist Through My Eyes and you'll be able to see it. There I demonstrate the different technologies that blind people use. I demonstrate white cane technique and different apps that I as a blind person use on my iPhone to help me live a more independent life. So definitely check that out if you're more into the demonstrative side of things as opposed to just the lecture side. I know that the lecture format, as an instructor myself, I know the lecture format is not everyone's cup of tea. So if this isn't, go ahead and check that out. So right, again, if you're just joining me, feel free to follow me, share this with your social media contacts, it's Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, blogs, wherever you are. Feel free to heart this, like it, talk to your friends about it. We need to keep the numbers up. We need to keep interest in this. And again, I definitely appreciate all the questions. This has really made it a great session tonight. Even if there were just a few questions, which, again, I appreciate every one of them, of course. But even if there are just a few questions, I can usually run with them. And it makes for a good Periscope session. Again, with my natural propensity to lecture, I can run with things very easily and very quickly. even what might be a basic question for most people, right? I have to watch that in the classroom also. That I don't get off on some long-winded discussion about something. As I've said before, if you've already put a question in there that I may have missed, maybe I wasn't looking down and to the left, as I said earlier, because again, my visual field is very narrow. If I missed a question, feel free to put it in the comments again, write it out again down there, and hopefully I'll look at it and I'll notice it a second time. And also, if I've missed any question even a second time, I will get to it next week. I'll replay this and make sure that I haven't missed any questions, and if I have, I'll get to them next week and in the coming weeks. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube and haven't seen this live, and it seems rather awkward for folks who are watching this live now, but if you are in the future, which is now your present and my present, and you're watching this on YouTube,
Gotta leave you now because it's past 1 a.m. in this part of the world. Thank you and bye.
Oh goodness, thank you for watching. Yes, and have a lovely night/morning. I appreciate all the questions. Feel free to watch this in the future and follow me if you're not already. I appreciate all the questions. Indeed. Thank you so much. And see you later. So as I say, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to put questions in the YouTube comments, and I will be looking at them, and I will try to get to them later on a future Periscope session. Let's see the time. 6:12. Wow, it's 6:12 already. Goodness. I've actually gotten a little over. Nice. Right, I might go and jump off here pretty soon, but so if there are any other questions about blindness or vision impairment from anyone else, feel free to put them here in the comments section. Anything about what I've said so far, or any follow-ups on other questions that have been asked, or any questions that are blindness related but are completely unrelated to what I've talked about so far, feel free to put them in the comments section. Are there any other questions about blindness or vision impairment before I jump off of here? Anything else? Anything at all? Any questions about blindness or vision impairment? Put them in the comments, and my speech software will read them aloud to me. Any other questions? And again, if you have any suggestions for this Periscope session that I do, feel free to add these in the comments down here as well, or tweet me or put them on my YouTube channel or whatever. I'm always open for suggestions. One final time, any more questions about blindness or vision impairment from anyone? Put them in the comments here on Periscope. Any other questions about blindness or vision impairment? Going once. Any questions about blindness or vision impairment? Going twice. All right. Well, I appreciate all those who joined me this week for this questions about blindness Periscope session. I would encourage you guys again to follow me, and you'll get alerts about these sessions that I do every week. I also do other Periscopes, throughout the week sometimes that are less formal and that are a little more fun, And so feel free to follow me if you don't already to get all of those alerts. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, follow my YouTube channel, look at previously archived sessions like this. You can look at my Through My Eyes video podcast if you want. On my Twitter, by the way, I do tweet about things other than just blindness. I tweet about other interests such as classics and space and aviation and synesthesia and Christianity and all of my other interests. So feel free to follow there if you want. I'm at the same username here as I am there. Yeah, same username on Periscope as I am on Twitter, and vice versa. Again, thanks for watching this tonight. Hope you come back in the future, and I will answer any other questions you may have about blindness or vision impairment. If you want to just come back and listen, that's great too. But anyway, again, thanks for watching, and have a good night, or whatever time of day it is where you are, everyone.
Page 1 of 2.
See you guys later. Bye, guys.
2 of 5 bars. 2 of 5 bars. Stop broadcast. Button.